most time management advice assumes your energy is the same every day, every week, and all month long. But what if the real hack is stopping the fight with your body and learning how to plan with it instead? Today, we're talking about a way of working that feels almost sustainable, more honest, and surprisingly more productive than you would have thought. Welcome back to Healthy Mind, Healthy Life, the show where we keep mental health practical, clear, and supportive for everyday life. I am Sayan, and today my guest is Renae Fieck, a mom of three, feminine leadership coach, and author of Cycle Sync Your Business. Today, we're actually exploring a kind of a time management hack that nobody's talking about, and how women can actually build routines and businesses that support their own body, their energy, and their well-being without hustling for worthiness. So it's gonna be quite a new, I would say, perspective to the traditional way of how you would rather manage your time. So I welcome you all, and Renae, I welcome you the most. It's just a pleasure to have you here on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, likewise. So before we get into the the time management hack that this episode is about, before we get tactical, I'm curious, when you think back to the moment you realize that pushing through that choke point or hustling harder wasn't going to work anymore. What did that feel like in your body, and most importantly in your mind?
Yeah. So that moment came for me about 9 years ago. I had freshly found out that I was pregnant with my third baby, and then also found out that my husband had a brain tumor and that I had got what I thought was my dream job. And so we went through that next year, introducing a new baby into the family. My husband had brain surgery, then he started having seizures, he couldn't drive, I was still working. In that whole season, we I was, strapped and doing anything I could, but realized how much we're never guaranteed tomorrow. So we never know if tomorrow's going to come. And I knew in that moment, in that season, I was like, I don't feel like right now we're living for the current now, living in the moment of the now. We're living for a one day when it gets easier. And so that became the moment that I was like, I want to start a business. I want to do things differently. I want to be able to really create something that allows me that freedom to live now and not just wait till some day down the road. But in that process was when now I'm getting up early and I'm going to bed late and I'm squeezing in work into every little crack of time trying to build a business, and really found myself hustling so hard and wasn't hitting success fast enough to what it felt like I wanted to be. And so there came a point where I was like, either this isn't going to work for me, I'm not cut out for business, or there's something's going to have to give. I can't keep going in this way. And I tried every productivity hack, every strategy, every tool. I come from the medical space, so I had a lot of neuroscience background and psychological habits and all these things, and just got to the point where I was like, I can't keep doing this. I can't, it's not working for me. And that's when somebody kind of shared with me about how men and women are different in the way our hormones function. And that has a direct effect on the way our brain shows up every single day. And so, how we think, how we create, how we produce, how we communicate, all of it is impacted by our hormones. And most of us don't know that. Most of us just go about the day as if we're all the same. And so women are trying to operate as if we're operating on a man's hormone rhythm when we just don't. So that became the moment that really shifted everything for me, that I started realizing if I work with my body instead of fighting against it, things just go so much easier. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. Initially, what you shared about your experience of, living in the moment rather. I can totally relate to that on some of my busiest days actually. But as you said, right, most of the women are trying to operate on a man's hormone. So I want to unpack what the alternative actually looks like. So because I think there's a lot of common misconception about that I think time management is built around consistency, and doing the same things daily. So for me, like I'm a multitasker, right? I can manage time efficiently. But speaking about women in particular, I'm curious as to what do you think is the biggest misconception that they're taught about productivity and time?
Yeah. Well, so even just to go to that, like what you said about consistency, like men operate really well in consistency because your hormones regenerate every single day. So, like a man's hormones, your testosterone starts really high in the morning. It kind of goes up and down as the day goes on. And then at night, you go to bed, you wake up the next day with a fresh dose of testosterone. So, you probably have moments in your day when maybe your brain isn't very sharp, or maybe you're feeling a little bit sluggish, or you're feeling a little bit behind. But that cycle happens in a whole day, and so, creating a workout routine or creating a work plan or creating something that's daily is going to work for you because your hormones are pretty predictable and consistent day to day to day. Women, however, have estrogen and progesterone that play out very differently over the course of the month. So, the front half of the month, the estrogen is the one that kinda kicks up, and it is dominant in the front half, and then progesterone kicks over in the back half, and they feel very different. Like, estrogen and progesterone do not feel the same way, and so, for a lot of women, that feeling like, some days they might feel really on point. They're, like, super focused, they're super productive. Maybe, like you said, they're managing their time really well. They're getting so much done, checking things off, and then other days, they're sitting there, like, fiddling with 5,000 tabs or can't focus or feel like they can't come up with any idea or only want to, work on sitting in the couch and on their with their laptop in their pajamas instead of being all dolled up and like looking great or whatever. And those feelings and those shifts that women have, we oftentimes think that there's something wrong with us because we can't stay consistent, right? So there's so much messaging in almost every field, whether it's business, health, you name it, it's all about consistency. But the focus is so much on, like, consistency in this, like, daily repetition, and women, we do need consistency over time to build anything amazing or do anything in our business, but it's not consistent day to day to day. So there are days, like, I get up some days super early, and I do a really great morning routine, and I get into work, and I get things done, and I get motivated, and then there's other days where I spend half of the morning doing breath work and meditating and drinking cacao. And like those shifts and those changes are totally normal variances. And I think that that's one of the biggest misconceptions that women have is believing that they need to be performing the same way every day, that their workouts need to be the same every day, their morning routine needs to be the same every day, their schedule needs to be the same. And that's where we really get tripped up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, naturally, I think that this makes a lot more sense to me right now, right? The whole cyclic, way of how women naturally operate on the hormone. So that I think that brings up something interesting on a level. So if we stay with that, right? When you talk about a high achieving woman, right, who keeps forcing herself into a constant output rhythm,
Yeah.
could you tell us what actually happens to that individual emotionally and psychologically over time?
Yeah. I mean, if we look at just data, women are statistically more likely to experience anxiety, depression, and burnout than men are. And we could probably pull in a bunch of different factors as to why that is. But I do think that this goes very much hand in hand with why is because we're creating a whole cascade of shifts in our hormones when we do that. So every time a woman is I mean, we're great, right? Like a lot of women accomplish and have done amazing things without actually honoring where their cycle's at. But when they do that, there's little bits of cortisol, which is our stress hormone that gets released every single time. And sometimes stress is good, right? Like we need some level of stress, but that stress going off all of the time, over time, over time, over time, what that does is it turns off all of those fertility hormones. So then we see women start having really irregular cycles, maybe really painful periods. I believe that it has this whole longer cascade into endometriosis and infertility and like all of these other things because we're not taking care of how a woman's body is really meant to thrive. So we're, operating against it, causing these little bits of cortisol to be released all the time. And if it goes on long enough or significant enough, right? Like if a woman's getting up super early and she's hitting the gym really hard and then she's working really hard all day and she's surviving on coffee and not actually nutrient like restoring her body and all of those things, like all of those little stressors, they add up, whether it's from a physiological perspective and now the cycle's not running the way it should and the body's not operating the way it should, or if it goes into a mind capacity, which then is looking at the anxiety and depression and burnout and things like that, which we know are statistically more for women. Yeah.
Okay. What you're saying is the hack here isn't an olive planet. It's a different kind of relationship with capacity, right? And I love eh, how you frame that because I think if someone is listening to this and thinking, okay, this is me. So how does that usually show up, day to day? I mean, what are the few signs that maybe well they're managing time, but they're sort of ignoring their energy that you spoke about earlier?
Yeah. I think if like every woman, I think, well, every human actually, regardless of gender, having the practice of being able to ask yourself every single day what your body needs today is one of the most powerful things that I've been able to do. And I find that when women start doing this, one, for a lot of them, it's not a practice that we're used to. And so it does take learning and it does take some understanding. But as women start to do this, they start to notice like, hey, I've been having this weird pain, or I've been noticing this symptom, or I notice, oh, I get this brain fog every single time on the 10th of the month, every single month, you know? And so as they start paying attention to their body and they start asking themselves that question of like, what does my body need today? Where is my body at today? They will start picking up on things that are unique to them. I've had clients come to me and tell me that like on the 3rd day of every month, they have this particular symptom and they've noticed it every 3rd day. And so now if it's something that's debilitating or an issue or whatever, they can make accommodations for it. They can adjust for it. And I've seen a lot of women as they've started doing this, like really healing some of the stuff in our women's health categories that like people just deemed that they're there, like things like PMS and PMDD and all these symptoms that people have, they've been able to heal them by starting to really listen to their body and starting to trust what it says and what's happening for it.
Okay,
Yeah.
understood. That's clear, I think. So the clues are often hidden in the pattern, right? I mean, the crash after the push, and we have the feeling of being productive but not okay. So, Renee, if you have to make this practical right now, so if you're calling this the time management hack, that that's pretty much no one's talking about. I mean, this is a complete new perspective to me. I would love to define it simply. How would you explain cycle syncing as a productivity approach in a way that doesn't feel too complicated, perhaps, or overwhelming to someone who hasn't heard about this?
Yeah. So I think like if I were to put cycle syncing in simple terms, it's kind of understanding where your body's at, like what the hormones are doing, and matching up the things in your life to meet with that. So, what we know now, if we look at MRI studies of the brain and things like that, is that different parts of the brain are more active. There are, like, legit from the brain all the way down, there are changes that happen in a woman's body day to day to day throughout the month, and so it's kind of understanding that in terms of how we work. So for me, for instance, like, I don't do podcasts like this or recordings or things like that when I'm deep in my luteal phase and I don't feel good at all. Like, I feel like I stumble over my words, I'm not talking very well, I don't feel very beautiful, like all of those things. And so I just don't schedule them during those times. The same thing, I have other activities like I do my budgeting or my admin work in my business. I'll do those during that luteal phase when all I want to do is sit on my couch with my computer. And so it's really about knowing where your brain and body is at and supporting it with the things that are going to match that. What that does is it makes you get things done faster and easier because you're not fighting yourself the whole time. I can't tell you how many times I maybe recorded something on social media and recorded it 15 times and kept deleting it. Didn't like the angle, didn't like the light, didn't like the way I said it, whatever. Now I've just learned I don't record during that week of the month. They never turn out. And if I do it during another phase, it's a one take, like it's done, it's good to go, you know? So it's really about looking at where and how the body is functioning so that it optimizes what you're capable of doing. It optimizes what you're most aligned with. Like if you're in the phase it's more aligned for writing and getting writing tasks done, then focus on writing during that phase and then focus on all those other videos and social media during another phase. And so it's really looking at how do we match up your to-do list, your exercise, your nutrition, literally everything with where your hormones at so you're really
Right.
supporting where it's at.
Yeah, I like that. I like how simple you made it sound. So basically, it's like matching the type of work that you would do with the kind of energy you have at that day, right? That sounds. I like that. I love that. In fact, so instead of forcing the same output every day, if we go with this concept of cycles, like explained, uh, so I want to tap into the real life aspect of it because I think people try a new rhythm, then life hits back. Sometimes kids will get sick, certain deadlines pile up, and some days you just don't feel like
Yeah.
dragging, I mean, what's the word for it,
Yeah.
dragging through the day, right? And they slip back into hustle. So when that happens, Renee, what's a more compassionate way to recover without turning it into failure? And by the way, this is for everyone who's listening to this right now who needs kind of a starting point and also reminded that there is, by the way, a compassionate way to recover from that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that just the word you kind you said like having compassion with yourself. Like I think it's normal and it's totally feasible for all of us to get into that hustle phase at some points. Even for me, like there are times of my cycle even when hustle feels really good and I lean into it, or I have 3 kids and there are plenty of days that things do not match up the way that I want them to. I think it's just the awareness. The awareness is the huge piece. So the awareness of asking yourself like what is my capacity, right? Like our cycles are just one piece of our capacity. But there's relationships, there's people, there's somebody cut you off on the way home from work. Like there's all kinds of factors that go into how our energy is every single day, and I think it's the
As influenced by that.
yes, it's like the awareness, just becoming really aware with where am I? And understanding like, hey, it was a really tough day. I snapped, I lost my shiz, I didn't feel very good. I all these things and just recognizing like, okay, tomorrow's a fresh day, like I can start again, or right now is a fresh time. I can start again. And that question of what do I actually need right now? Like where do I need? Like what is it that I need? I think that's where a lot of people get strung out or people get caught in the hustle or they get caught just going or they get caught doing things is we don't ever take a time to actually pause and ask ourselves that question. So I think even just the pause and the recognition of like, okay, I'm in this hustle, I'm in a struggle bus, I'm feeling tapped out, I'm feeling whatever, and just pausing and bringing awareness to it. Sometimes the awareness alone is enough to shift it and like let go of some of that tension. And then after you've brought some awareness to it, then just asking, like, what do I need right now that can bring some shift to it? And I think just that little bit can be enough for people instead of when we're in the hustle, sometimes we're so tunnel visioned on the hustle, on the things that we're getting done, or like the things that aren't going our way, or the things that aren't happening. And we become like a victim to it. It becomes out of our control. And so bringing that locus of attention inward brings that control back to say, hey, I actually have some capacity to change what needs to happen right now.
Amazing, amazing. That's such a needed message to everyone listening to this right now, indeed, because I think so many people don't need more discipline. They need this more safety in their mind. So, folks, to everyone of you who's listening to this right now, uh, the real takeaway from this is that when you talk about time management, right, it is this learning to plan around the energy that you have. in that particular instance, and your body. So productivity stops costing you your fatigue. So that's what I'm taking away from this conversation, folks. And because we are nearing the minute mark, Renae, if you could quickly share your details for people who want to learn more about your work, your book, or your programs, where they should go in and find them.
Yeah. My favorite place to hang out is on Instagram. So you'll find me over there just at Renae Fieck. My website and everything is all the same. So just reneefieck.com, Renae Fieck on everywhere. So you'll find me there. If you want a copy of my book, which is Cycle Sync Your Business, it is on Amazon. You can get it through Amazon anywhere, or there's some links you can grab it on my website. But it was a pleasure being here. Thanks for having me.
Amazing, amazing. We'll also add all the links that you mentioned in the show notes so listeners can find you easily. And yeah, with that we hit today's minute mark of this episode. And thanks for tuning in, everyone. Because if today's episode gave you a sense of relief and a better sense of how you could actually manage your time, uh, instead of being a victim to your own self, I want you to take one small step this week. I want you to notice your patterns and adjust one expectation and practice meeting yourself with a little more compassion, because that's the thing that you need to learn when you're planning your day around your energy. So thanks for listening to Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. If this helped you, I want you to share with someone who's been running kind of empty. And as always, take care of your mind so you can take care of your life. I'll see you in the next one.